Whenever you're ready.
All right. All right. So, what methods do you use to motivate your team?
There's a couple different ones. You have to adapt to everybody. It's never the same. So if you only know one way of doing it, you probably should know in a second way, third way, fourth way, whatever you got to do. I got people that don't ever want to get personal about anything. Motivating them is not the same as somebody that wants to talk for 20 minutes before they start their day.
That makes sense.
So that question's kind of just limited. You have to be spontaneous with everything. Certain people that just want you to tell them what to do.
Right.
I'm more of a talker, but there's certain people that'll literally come up to you and they'll just be like, "Hey, I'm done. What do I got to do next?" And if you try to explain what they're doing, they're gonna shut you off.
Right.
And you'll see it.
Uh-huh.
And then you're like, "Well, I just lost that one," and you gotta find it again. Otherwise, you just spark it out like, "Hey, go do this now."
Right.
And that's how they respond. So the question's very variable.
Gotcha.
Depends on the person.
For sure. If you and your team has ever been faced with failure, how do you bounce back from that?
I usually, me personally, I don't have too much of a team around, but when I fail, it's admitting that you failed. So the biggest thing people look for is, are you too much of an ego to say you're wrong? I mean, everybody's going to be wrong at some point. So
For sure.
what I like to do is just, "Hey, I effed up this, sorry. What can we do to move on? Or can we try something else?" I'll even ask for ideas from them. Gives them a sense of participation.
Right.
If
Okay.
you do that to begin with, then they don't feel like it's all you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they share it, and
Right.
sharing's always better than being the one making all
sure.
the calls.
For sure. All right. And can you recall a time where there was a difficult conflict in the workplace that you guys had to deal with? And how did you deal with that situation?
Okay, I'll try to be vague with it as much as I can.
Sure.
Without details, I had a situation where 2 employees were talking through a glass pane, like a window, and later I found out that it was inappropriate talk.
Okay.
So what had happened is that conversation led to more conversation as one of the employees walked around, and I confronted it, which is what you should always do as a manager. Confront the situation, don't let it start festering. And they both decided to falsify answers to me.
Oh, okay.
And then continue on with what was going on. And then it escalated. And when it escalates, normally one of the two people find offense to it. It's just how it always goes. That's why you want to get in there and stop it.
For sure.
I had asked the second time. They still didn't say nothing. They said, "Oh yeah, we're all fine. It's work appropriate material, blah, blah, blah."
Mm-hmm.
It ended up manifesting into a huge HR situation. And I'll kind of leave it at
Right.
that, but that's it's kind of the difficult situations that you run into, and how you handle it. I had to learn that I didn't do what I probably should have done, and I kind of was my fault. Is how I put it.
Okay. We were just learning about that actually last week, like
Yeah.
handling HR stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it's a fun time every time.
Right, I'm sure. What is one experience that you can recall that has been the biggest learning experience that has changed the way you manage yourself and your team?
My first boss at this current company was a instigator
Oh, okay.
/ aggressive personality, and I had to learn how to adapt my style to not only suit his needs, which are robotic, by the book, extreme aggression
For sure.
and fear tactics, but also try to, I don't know, get the guys from crying, if you want to put it that way. There's a lot of guys that would talk with him and you could tell it'd ruin their whole month if that's how it ended. So I was like the good cop out of the good cop, bad cop scenario.
Gotcha.
That was probably one of the toughest things I had to adapt to.
All right. What creative problem-solving techniques do you or your company use to increase efficiency or remove any overall hindrances that the company or team members might face?
It's a small example, but it's effective. When we load trucks, there's manual deck bars, like pieces of aluminum that weigh 10, 20 pounds tops. Out in the elements, people forget to do that, to put them up and put freight up the way we're supposed to. So a technique I started using, and I thought it was pretty good and it was pretty effective, is I would just ask them if I could help them do it. And one of two scenarios would happen. Either I would actually go out there and help them, which showed servant leadership and, you know, leading by example, or they tell me, no, I got it. And in that case, I knew that if they didn't put the deck bar up, they already ratted on themselves that they knew they were supposed to.
Right, okay.
So if that was the case, then I could easily go and hold them accountable at the same time. So I had like a double-edged sword that I would use on them, and both times I was good and they weren't. So
Gotcha, that's perfect.
that's an example of that.
And that concludes my questions.